thing I found the most fun was learning to sell. So I just kind of understood how to post on social media and Instagram because it's the easiest.
Because they're a good coach, they're stuck in the idea of that's enough to get people in the door.
The myth that's around right now is that the market's saturated. But we could all live with excuses or we can all find solutions. I would honestly say, unless I would have joined mentorships, I probably wouldn't believe that this was possible. And I could literally buy all the things I never thought I could when I was younger. And that's really rewarding, but I'm not happy.
All right, we are joined by Neil Cranwell. Neil, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Got a big backstory behind you as well, but been working together for a while now. So we're going to run through everything ABC on how Neil got to where he is now, where he started, and what got him going in the first place. So Neil, over to you.
So I started coaching from a gym owner perspective. So I owned two gyms for 15 years, and I'd done the old school mentality of coaching people in-house as they'd come in and train them that way. This was going back. So I've been coaching for 30 years. So probably about 20 years ago, the online business kind of really started to build up. And at the time, I used to think, that's not really coaching. Unless you can, unless you can see people face to face, you can't pinch fat off a photo. If someone sends you like a check-in photo, and people can doctor their photos or get the right lighting and make themselves look better, but in the flesh. And so I was quite old school and kind of stuck in my ways. But I slowly transitioned and done online coaching through the gym, through people just in the UK really. And that was when I was in my my 30s. So I've always been a competitive bodybuilder. And so I had a lot of competitors that would come to me to help me help them get in shape. And so that's where I started. And then as life's grown and I've grown up and I've got older, I've been able to manage and help people of similar age. And I've got a ton of experience. And I think where I've been able to help people the most is use that and use my age and my experience of life to help people that are older, because there's lots of fitness coaches out there and they're all in their sort of 20s and 30s. So they don't understand what, being 40, having a stressful job, maybe paying a mortgage, managing two kids, sleepless nights and running kids to hospitals and so on. And then they're still fitting in their idea of getting in shape. So, because I've lived that life, it's been much more helpful to improve others.
Neil, how did you initially get started with the online coaching space? As in, what was the first things that you did to get clients in the door online?
So the first thing I done was, it was a birth of, I suppose, social media and Instagram. But before that, YouTube was a thing. And I was a fitness presenter on something called the Active Channel, which was run by LA Muscle, which was one of the first sort of TV fitness channels that was on Sky. And so because I was on that program for, probably 5 or 6 years, people knew who I was in the industry. So at the start, going back then, it was quite easy because people would contact me. So they'd come through my Instagram or email me and ask me if I could help them.
Got you. So where was the transition, which I'm asking mainly because we've seen a lot of people that have done well with inbound referrals, word of mouth, and then, of course, pushed into outbound ads as well. So for you, where was that transition between inbound and referrals, people coming to you, versus you reaching out and building that scalable system that is a bit more predictable as well?
Yeah, so to start with, probably for the first maybe 2 or 3 years, there was all this low-hanging fruit of people that were coming to me. Yeah. So I didn't need to do adverts. It was all, I would do the odd organic post and it would just keep people or make people aware that I was able to coach them, and they'd only seen me as like a presenter on the fitness channel. And so it was very easy to start with. And then all of a sudden that low-hanging fruit or that kind of range of people had kind of dried up. So at that point, I'm like, I'd got used to this. What do I do now? Because I didn't know how else to do it, because I'd never come from that, that experience or that lifestyle. Owning a gym, people would come to you to train them. Being a presenter on the TV, people would come to you to help them because they'd seen you. And then after several years of that, I realised that this is slowing right down and I need to work out how you do it online and open the audience up worldwide.
What was the first thing you did there when we went online?
So I just kind of understood how to post on social media and Instagram because it's the easiest. And so posting on Instagram, but not just posting, because beforehand I was just posting stuff about what I was doing and some client transformations, but I wasn't really targeting an audience or specifics that people had pain points with. And so through lots of conversations, through lots of coaching, you realize lots of people have similar pain points. So maybe trying to address those on what you're talking about on the social media side of things would then open people up to say, okay, that sounds like me. And then as the years have gone on, that side of organic reach, which did work really well, it's kind of slowed up as well. And so now, all advertising or, boosting polls and boosting reels and so on is where I've found that the most sort of tractions come from.
Got you, because what we've also seen is when it was, let's say a few years ago, right? Posting transformation photos on stories, getting a bunch of story replies was the way to go. It was the main thing that brought in a lot of leads from inbound there. And then it transitioned into more making sure that you have a predictable outbound system that you can get conversions on, and then top of funnel profile visit follower ads as well to fill up the outbound base. So for you as well, where did I know the business did start as well picking up on LinkedIn. What happened there as well when we made the transition back to IG?
Yeah, so I moved over to LinkedIn just because the demographic and the audience were my similar age. And also they were more business minded or businessmen and maybe got families and kids. And so they were more invested in fixing their system rather than just getting, abs for Ibiza. And so there was a better long-term reward as a coach when you've coached thousands and thousands of people as I have that just want to lose a bit of body fat and tone up. It's quite redundant. It's just you go through the motions. But if you can actually help fix someone's hormones, fix their system, and actually bring them back to life as a coach, that's much more rewarding. But it doesn't happen in a 10 or 12 week transformation. It normally takes kind of 4 to 6 months of consistency to do that. And then when I worked with LinkedIn really well, like everything in coaching, things work for a period of time. Like you mentioned there with the transformation stories, that worked really well and then stopped. LinkedIn worked fantastically well. And I thought I'd found like the holy grail of coaching. But unfortunately, like I'm not the only one doing it and other people catch on to that. And so all of a sudden, the messages and the outbounds that you're having with people in LinkedIn, they're getting hundreds of them a day from other people that are doing a similar thing, coaching around the world. And so coming back to Instagram, but knowing my audience at that point helped me really kind of double down on my niche, because that way you can look like the right coach to fit the audience as opposed to not just another coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think LinkedIn Organic was great. It was great times for LinkedIn Organic at a certain point. And I think it still can be good if you've already built that base and all of this, but it's a lot harder to scale at the beginning. And it's just a bit longer to go in for, longer to build a system with. I mean, we have like huge LinkedIn paid ads guys under us as well, absolutely smashing it. But they've also moved to IG as well as the backup, mainly because it's a very high pressure system. Cost per lead's high, cost per acquisition is generally higher as well on LinkedIn lead forms. And IG seemed to be like the most stable base for most people as well from what we've seen. And most scalable as well based on cost per lead and cost per followers. So for you as well, where did you start at, I guess, with IG? And then where is it now, I guess, in terms of revenue numbers as well as the actual numbers of the business overall?
Yeah, so I kind of had a complete shift. Whereas when I was working on LinkedIn and you was like landing whales, I would call them, which were big sort of 12-month sort of upfront paying clients, I was just keeping Instagram going on a minimal amount of effort. And then, but because LinkedIn takes a while to build up, you still need to be doing something on a daily basis, which is where Instagram's really good because people will converse really quickly. And on LinkedIn, people are very busy. So you'll go back and forward chasing them up. So then when I moved over to Instagram, I did have doubt and a lot of doubt that you could make a similar amount of money. And there was similar clients on Instagram that were, whales that do want to invest in 6 or 12 months. And so I slowly sort of moved across to that and just see the numbers start to build up to the point where I earned more money and got more quality clients from Instagram. I've actually reversed what I do, and now LinkedIn is a back burner and Instagram's a main play.
LinkedIn, I completely forgot as well. LinkedIn is the risk profile as well. If you're trying to scale horizontally, you can just get shut down left, right, and center as well. We had 4 accounts shut down there on LinkedIn. But yeah, no, I think Instagram, as soon as you have an outbound DM system that's working, set her in place, and then an actual advertising strategy that is perfected with the right reels, right creative, it is very, very scalable. So what does that look like in terms of PB months with IG itself?
Yeah, just to touch on what you said, the reason I actually moved across to Instagram is I had all my accounts shut down on LinkedIn.
I forgot to as well.
Yeah, so I had them all, and I was like, oh, what do I do? Because all my revenue is now tied up with one platform. And so, the best advice is not to, sink all your eggs into one basket and have a few different revenue streams. And that did push me to do more on Instagram. So I was, I suppose, turning over from Instagram coaching clients probably about 5 to 8 grand a month, while LinkedIn was making the most in terms of revenue. And now my revenue there on Instagram fluctuates around about 25 to 35k a month.
Solid. It's insane work with having that as like the base as well, making sure that that is now a scalable system, which I believe, which we can go through in the next video as well. Sure. Making that a scalable system and baseline is going to be the most important thing for the next level. So for you, what changes did you make for you to go from the first 5/8s there into the 25s, 35s, and so on?
Yeah, the best advice that I could tell myself if I was to do it again is at the start when I was, I was earning some money doing it, and I was quite happy initially that he was bringing in 5 or 8k a month. Some people probably earn that, over 2 or 3 months in the UK. But I was broad, so my message was broad. I could coach, with 30 years experience coaching, I can pretty much coach anyone, men, women, young guys that want to do a photo shoot or do a bodybuilding competition, look shredded or get massive, and guys that have got hormonal issues. But going broad, it brought me in a broad spectrum of leads. And so it didn't really fit the criteria of like qualifying leads. And so what I'd done to then double down on what was working very well was really hyper niche what I'm being specific in terms of the client that I'm after. So for me, it was like, who relates most to me? And it's going to be men that are in their 40s or 50s, because I'm 50 and I know you don't think I am, but I am. And if I can, help them through their hormonal issues or their body fat issues, or how to try and change your game plan now, because a lot of men are stuck living in the past. They were fit at school or after college. And so when they want to get back to being fit, they just remember that guy. So they try and do what they've done then that worked then. But you need to actually play to the hand you're dealt today.
Yeah, I think one of the other things as well, when you niche down, it just becomes 10 times easier with advertising as well. And I think you're in a golden niche as well when it comes to more specifically talking to hormonal issues or hormones in general as well in content. Just seen that convert really well across women's niches, guys' niches as well. But for you as well, a big thing that people have, I would say, a limiting belief around, especially the guys I've noticed coming in from the bodybuilding space as well, is that they think that they have to charge £150 a month, £200 a month max, because a guy who placed higher than them in the last show charges that much, and that's the cap. So what helped, well, first of all, how much do you charge as well on the top end and on average as well? And then second, what helped you, let's say, be able to break limiting beliefs to charge, I would say, what you're worth?
Well, so I totally relate to that, what you're saying, like a monthly payment scheme, and this is what everyone's done. And if that's what you've always done, because you were that type of coach, it is hard to believe that other people can do it. I think the best thing to break that limiting belief was to work with other, mentors, to be with other, coaches within the mentorship, to see that actually other people are doing this and it is the norm. It's not like such a wild thought that you could charge more than £250 a month. And what I charge a month for 6 months coaching is £3,000, and 12 months coaching is £4,500.
And you're closing those off of IG leads that are coming in through the advertising as well. So the specificity around the niche, I think, is big. So outside of this as well, what changes in mindset did you have to actually get to the next level again and again from when you started to where you are right now?
I would honestly say, unless I would have joined mentorships, I probably wouldn't believe that this was possible. and joining mentorships and seeing how to scale the system and how it can be done, even if you've got an old school mentality. And see other coaches do it really helps you believe that, you are worth your time. And, if you've got 30 years experience in coaching, that's quite rare. If you won Mr. Universe 4 times and an IFBB Pro and have come back from breaking your back and beating cancer all within a 30-year span, that's a story, but you've got an experience there that will relate to other people that you're coaching that come back from, these issues. And, I work well with, men because they've got families, they've got kids, and they've also got a ton of excuses. But we could all live with excuses or we can all find solutions. And, I've got 2 kids and unfortunately I'm a single dad, their mum's passed on us. So I had to find a way to still be present for my kids, be able to earn money, be able to run them around and do all the school stuff. But that story there, as sad as it is, that helps relay with, guys that I will get online and that I have niched in and feel that perhaps they're helpless because they haven't got enough time or they can't manage their situation. But, if I can manage it, and I'm no one special, I can certainly help other people, show them how to do it.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it with making sure that you're able to fight through the belief of responsibility holding you back as well, because I can tell you now, we've spoke to countless people who are nowhere near where you're at as well, with the idea in their head that because they have got kids and family as well, they can't get to somewhere like yourself, and it's impossible, right? So how did you overcome that personally?
To be honest, what I done is I teamed up with people like yourself, mentors that I've got a lot of respect for, and I've got a lot more knowledge in the online space to show me exactly how do you do it. So people come to me for coaching or to any coach, they want to know the short play. They want to use all your experience and just give me the info that does work, so I don't just try another keto diet or a carnivore diet and some harebrained idea and run at it for 6 months. At the start, that's what I'd done. I tried posting this way or doing this YouTube and not seeing a huge amount of return. And then, because time's everyone's enemy and it's so, precious, and I'm getting older, I haven't got another couple of years to try and figure it out. Let's go to someone and find out what's the play, how does it work? And if you trust, and follow the process, put your stamp on it and your authority on the way it's done. It's just worked really well. But without having that information, perhaps those scripts and that information for you to then make your own, I would be very lost in terms of how to do it. So I've learned from others.
So what were the key systems, would you say, that you installed that led to a PB month there?
I mean, the main thing that helped was to niche down on the audience, first of all. The second thing I would say, once you've got that going, and you can create really good reels that target that audience and then boost them ads so that it reaches a much wider audience, is have probably 2 really effing good VAs to help you manage all of the messages that come in. And, I burnt through tons of VAs like we all have in coaching because they're just... Normally their English isn't good enough to help with the conversations. But when you find a couple of good VAs that can work around the clock, now you can really scale that side of, business. So every day when you get up, there's tons of messages that have been answered and gone forward and calls that are booked up because VAs are doing the job far better than I could do and allow me that time to then put more effort into what creates more leads, which is, for me right now, is creating more good content. That seems to be driving the business.
Yeah, I do think content is a pipeline. Good content, which is then scripted well, can also be good adverts as well, good ads that convert. And then having direct call out ads, I believe, is going to, in my opinion right now, is highest performing for advertising for boosted reels as well. That is essentially what feeds the top of funnel, the base of followers that are coming in. And then the setting system, good setters who are able to convert. As long as you can close, then you have a functioning machine, and then scaling that is volume on the top end. So I know you're sitting on 3, 4, 5x ROAS ads as well. So what helped you dial in the ideal niche for you outside of living for it, experience itself? Was it the split testing process around where you testing different adverts consistently? Was it more specific structure around content? Editing style, how did that kind of all fall in place with the advertising?
Yeah, so I think what I'd learned from having many conversations, sales conversations, and with my own clients that we check in weekly is what are their problems, because their problems are probably everyone else's. To make content on that and to do it in different ways to see what fits and what you get a big return from. So whether you make the information you're giving short and more precise, or do you make it more elaborate with more statistics, depending on the audience that you're aiming for. And so to find that, and once I've found that, finally, you can then just repeat, change the scene, change the location, change what you're saying, but talking about the same aspect, perhaps in a different way. And, just kind of regurgitate what's worked, because it will still work. There's a huge world out there that hasn't seen any of your ads. But when you get these people to come through, the thing I found the most fun was learning to sell. Because if you're a fitness coach, if you want to have an online business, you need to be a salesman. Because all these people that come through to the calls, they don't just drop their pants and give you the money. Like, as much as that would be nice if everyone did, they've all got a problem, but they're hesitant, they're worried, they don't think they can do it. They may have tried and failed so many times before. So you have to reassure them that you're the right person to help them and why it can't fail with you as their coach. And that took probably a couple of years of really solid training. I went on some sales courses as well to be better at what I was saying in sales. And then that became the fun side of the business.
Now you're selling 3K, 4K PIFs all day, every day. So I think it's very, very high leverage, because I think a lot of coaches, especially starting out, even at the 5, 10, 15K mark as well, get stuck in the idea that being a good coach is enough. As in, they're not allowed to be a good business owner because they're a good coach. They're stuck in the idea of that's enough to get people in the door. Not the case anymore. You just have to be good at marketing. You have to be good at content. You have to be good at ads. You have to be good at sales. You have to be good at looking at the data, analyzing the data, and then building a team as well, hiring coaches, hiring setters, even close at a certain point as well. If all of that isn't in place, then they're essentially working a high-paying job, right? Because for you to build freedom, for you to have time with your kids and have time with actually building a larger business as well, you just have to be able to buy yourself back time, energy, build leverage whilst making more money. And that's how business works as well. So, I know you like doing stuff in coaching as well, in real life, in PT as well, IRL, to keep your structure, keep your routine, and also have time for your kids. So how do you usually manage time? What do your days look like as a busy dad, technically, inside the coaching space?
So yeah, I do like to keep busy. I don't tend to want to stop to watch TV or sit on Netflix in the evening. But once I got into the online space, I actually removed all the PT that I did used to do, because obviously it doesn't pay anywhere near what you can earn online. But what I found was I was getting a little bit down and depressed, and it's quite a solace job. You're just speaking to people via Zoom, but these people are not your friends. You're coaching them, so you don't have any social interactions. And so my only interactions were with 7 and 9-year-old my two kids. And so it was like, I'm starting to feel like I'm just, I'm earning more money than perhaps I ever have as a PT, wildly more. And I could literally buy all the things I never thought I could when I was younger. And that's really rewarding, but I'm not happy. And why am I not happy? It's because I'm just locking myself in the office and working and building a business, but there's no one there to enjoy it with, because it's your own business as such. So what I've done is I brought back some personal training. So my days look like I get up in the morning at 5:30, because my kids are too young for me to go off to a gym and train, and while they're sleeping, in case they wake up, they'd be worried, where's dad? So I've got a gym at home in the garage. So I'll get up at 5:30, I'll train at home before I get the kids up for school, make their breakfast. They go off to school about 7:30, 8 o'clock if I'm late as usual. And then once I take them to school, I carry on straight from school to a gym near me, Graftism Gym. Try it out, it's in Watford if you've not been there. Fantastic gym. And I'll train probably about 4 clients every day, Monday to Friday. So that'll take me up till lunchtime. I'll then have a little bit of lunch, train myself, and then I'll go back and pick the kids up from school. So that whole sort of morning block until 4 o'clock, where I get back from school, is taken up. There's no online coaching at that point. When I come back from school, I make the kids their dinner, and that's when I start coaching from 5 till 10 every night. So I've only got a 5-hour window every night to work online. But through the day, you're never, as a coach, an online coach, you're never not coaching. You'll always get emails, messages that you'll reply to, as you go. So you're kind of always at the end of your phone. But my kind of work block will be for them 5 hours every night. And then the weekends, I don't take any calls on weekends. I tend not to, because people are always very wishy-washy on the weekend to turn up for calls. So my weekends are sort of precious, where I'll spend more time with the family.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're in a position where it's actually similar to me. It's forced leverage, right? When you have a few hours where you can go all in and work, you're forced to build around that. So you can't sit there doing the coaching forever, or you have a cap at how many clients you can get on, or you can't sit there doing the DMs yourself forever, right? You cap yourself, or even the like content, you can't sit there editing all the videos yourself anymore, because business can't scale essentially, right? So when you're forced to build leverage, it's also coincidentally the thing that grows the business the fastest as well, because it's those bottlenecks that stop the business scaling as well. So where did you first see that moment where you were like, okay, I need to buy back time. I need to be able to scale the business. I need to essentially build leverage outside of myself?
When it just got to a point where I was running around, turning into a bit of a headless chicken, trying to do it all with not too much structure. And then now I work completely from a calendar, which makes me much more, efficient at what I do. So up until, probably several years ago, I would just film content when it come to my head, and I would post daily and still do what I needed to. But it got me through to a point. Actually, if I wanted to be more time savvy about this, I need to have a content day. So every other Thursday, I'll film a whole ton of reels. A whole day is blocked out that day, which is a day after I drop the kids off. I won't train anyone. I'll spend the whole day filming, getting a load of reels sort of banked for the next 2 weeks. So now I've got the time back from me every day procrastinating and thinking, what should I film today? They've already been mapped out. And then turning that more into structure, which then give me more freedom back. And then every day just posting a different story and a different reel because I've got them saved. And that helped a hell of a lot. And then using the diary as well to schedule in absolutely everything with, in terms of personal training, the kids' school stuff, after school stuff, and then any work calls that come in from the online stuff. And then now I love that process. I love the, knowing what's happening ahead of every day, ahead of every week. And as a bodybuilder, which we've always done it with how many meals are we getting, what are the macros we're going to get, and we've got on the plan that. And so just turning that around and saying, well, I've done it for 30 years as a bodybuilder. Let's now just do that in business.
Super impressive. And I think it's one of those things where you have to understand what you're building for as well, because a lot of people will just stay stuck inside their own business, right? And they refuse to let go of certain things, let go of certain tasks. So they essentially build a business that they hate and then wonder why they hate it after they realize they're working 15 hours a day in it. So like getting it down to working, 4 or 5 hours a day, making the 30K months as well is technically what freedom looks like, right? Financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, everything. We're in Dubai now. So now making sure that you built what actually helped you let go of the idea that you had to hold on to everything.
I think what I learned, and the best thing I found from this, is I can go away everywhere, all around the world, more than I ever have. I probably go on 6 different holidays or trips away with the kids, and sometimes without, like this one, which is a fantastic little minute to myself. But I'll always take the laptop, and then whether I'm going on holiday or it's for business, I never lose any money, which I would do or have done in the past as a PT. And normally when I'm away, because I'll still take calls and I'll still work probably on a slightly less amount of time, probably 3 or 4 hours, or if that, as opposed to 5 or 6, I'll still make money. I'll still sign people up. I can still coach my existing clients. And so you're never losing money. You're still moving forward. And that's a really nice feeling. Like I'm out in Dubai with a friend of mine, and he's a really strong PT, does lots of PT. And then getting stuck in Dubai like we have recently means he's losing thousands of pounds because he can't get back to his work. Whereas for me, I'm making thousands of pounds because I'm still signing new people up.
Yeah, I think it's a big one. So for you, what other myths in the industry do you think should be abolished, shouldn't be there? What other myths have you come across or heard in the fitness industry in general?
Well, I suppose the myth that's around right now is that the market's saturated. There's so many online coaches, and even if I sort of go back a couple of years even, there's so many now. Everyone, Tom, Dick and Harry, has got their name online coach as their tag, you know, on Instagram. And most people I can see aren't really very good coaches just by looking at their profile. But, you know, like when I won my first Mr. Universe, it was a smaller federation Mr. Universe. It wasn't the main one. But if you asked your mum, friend, your nan, someone down the pub, they wouldn't know the difference. You're still Mr. Universe. And I think this is what got washed away a little bit with the online coaches is if you're an online coach, you're just as good as everyone else. And so I think that, like, if there's fear that perhaps there isn't, you know, there's too many coaches and it's not the right fit for you to move forward into coaching, I don't think that's right. I think that there is a lot of coaches, but they're not all fantastic. And you need to really like market yourself at what you're specifically good at. And then how do you stand out? By being true to that.
Couldn't agree more. I think there's a lot of coaches, but 90% of them suck at marketing and suck at building a business. So you're not actually competing with that many people. If you think about it, it's like, how many people actually know how to convert in the DMs? How many people actually know how to sell on a call? How many people actually know how to run ads well? Right. So like the competition really isn't that high. Actually, the bar is technically a lot lower now as well compared to, because if you think about it, there's a lot more information that you can work off of compared to 5 years ago when like it was a lot more of the new thing, right? So I actually think you're 100% right, because I hear it pretty much every day, right? Because we take like 8 calls, 10 calls a day with online coaches now, and I've heard it a lot of times as well. The biggest thing is I think people have the fear that what they were doing previously is not going to work anymore, or it's already on the downhill, like it's not working anymore. And second, the new thing that they are scared to touch, whether it's outbound DMs, is either not going to work at all, or people already doing too much of it. It's like the system they think is saturated as well. So I actually think you've pushed into new stuff and pivoted very, very well, because clearly we're here right now with a system that works consistently. So any advice for others who are looking to either push into scaling the business as well, or get an outside help with scaling the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to keep progressing, you do need outside help, because when you find a formula that works and it will work very well, all of a sudden it stops, because that's just a trend. People go through trends and phases. So showing an online transformation, that used to get you clients. It doesn't have any pull anymore. So you need to be able to move. I earned a lot of money for a lot of years without ever spending a penny on advertising. And I thought, well, this is easy. I don't have to spend any money. My cost versus my income that I was getting was fantastic. But then when that stops working, you need to be, like plasticine enough to move with what does work, and to be coachable yourself as a coach, to understand and learn what the next phase is. And the thing about coaching, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's a bit of a love-hate thing with me, is when you think you've got it cracked, it will work for a period of time and it just stops. You're like, oh, here we go again. And then you've got to learn the next play. And then that'll work really well. And then again, it stops. So it keeps you on your toes.
Gotcha. I mean, you're also not the new kid on the block as well. We've had many mentors in the past. So what do you feel was different or most beneficial for you in working with ourselves, I guess?
So, I mean, if anyone doesn't know Azri, he's data brain. So that's the side of me that I really find really snoringly boring. And so like looking at data or tracking and learning all that stuff of data, I still wouldn't have an absolute clue if I hadn't have come to you. And now I actually see, which is what you've harped on about all the time I've ever known you, is how important data is. Because I would be aimlessly throwing money at ads and thinking they're working, but the data would tell me otherwise. And now I can see actually and understand and know and learn from you. And if ever I don't, I can ask and find out actually, now I've got to a certain level. If I want to keep building and moving forward, I do need to see all the data to be able to use that, like you would when you coach someone and you want to see their weight, body fat, and measurements and so on. So we need to see the data to see if a program is working. I suppose the biggest difference with yourself, Azri, is anytime I need a call, or anytime I've got a bit of ask you a specific question, you'll always jump on, either text me back straight away, or we'll get on like a Zoom call and talk it through within a matter of days. And previously, when I've been on other sort of coaching things, that's quite hard to line up. You'll get given one call a month, and if you've had that call and then something else happens, you got to wait a whole nother month, which is you losing money to get an answer, and which could be fixed in a short chat. So that's the best takeaway for me from working with you, is the direct link.
Appreciate you saying. I think speed is a big thing in business. Speed of decisions made, speed of changes made, so you can actually make some serious progress as well. And honestly, super impressed as well with the progress. So very much appreciate you having you on, Neil, as well. So
no problem.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you soon on the next video as well.
All right, thank you.